Hi everyone, this is take 3 of my attempt to do a live chat with Victoria Myssik. Hopefully we can make this work okay.
Oh my God, we finally did it.
It finally worked. Oh,
Here.
thank you so much for being patient, Victoria. I'm so
No problem.
sorry.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was my different account or something. I had to also make some changes, but we made it through. We're finally here, so that's wonderful. Thank you so much for
Oh
having
my
me.
God, I'm so happy to be here. And you heard I was vamping,
Oh,
right?
I love hearing your talk because it's always so invaluable. You know, it's so beneficial. It's every little thing that you say, you can just write it down and post it somewhere, like on
Oh,
the wall.
thank you, Victoria. Thank you. Because to me, what's important is that we continue to evolve and grow in the craft,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'm still young. I want to continue to go, where's this process now? Where is it today? And one of the best ways, thank you so much. Um, One of the best ways, I think, to challenge yourself and go, where do we grow as teachers, is to act. And what I have loved watching you do is two things. First of all, it looks like you're constantly working. You're constantly on set. You're constantly putting yourself out there. And so what I want to do, I'd love to hear about what your experiences have been, and one of the things, if people on Seven Pillars Acting Instagram, if you don't know, you should be following Victoria Myssik. What is your handle on Instagram?
Oh, yes, it's the Victoria Myssik. So it's
Perfect.
just all together. Yeah, you
Super
can
easy.
just.
You've been making all of these great like tutorials on what to do to start their career, and I think you break things down in such a way that new actors really need, and it's something that I think is beautiful and so organic in you, and that's to me the perfect combination, is a love of the craft while also and being active in your career, but then also the love and care that you have to have to make extra videos when you're already teaching, you know what I mean? And yet you must be sensing that your students still need more than you can even give them. And you're making these videos on your own time. And it's just, they're great. They're great.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
in the first video that I had to cancel because we were having technical difficulties, I introduced you a little bit and gave the background, and I think I will sort of recap
Oh,
that, if that's a good idea.
absolutely. Yes. Take your time.
So Victoria and I met in fall of 2019. I feel like we were both babies then. I feel like the whole world was a baby when you think about everything that has happened.
We didn't know what's about to
Oh,
come. Yeah. Yeah.
good. Yeah, exactly. So we met that time. So I guess that's 4 years ago now. And you went through the MFA because Victoria had just joined the LSU MFA acting cohort. And I think we had a great 2 years. And Victoria grew so much. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about your story also before even coming to LSU. So I'll prompt you on that in just a moment.
Mhm.
But then we did a showcase. You had decided, you had always, I think, wanted to go to Los Angeles, and I thought, well, that's great because I need teachers at my studio. Do you want a job? Please, can you come? No. And immediately Victoria became highly in demand at Actors Studio of Orange County. And so you probably moved in fall 2021. It's now fall 2023. In those 2 years, you quickly rose quickly up the ranks, and now you're the advanced training director, which means that you're responsible for helping students who are from about scene study, help them move into intermediate, and then advise them and encourage them on what they need to take in order to be eligible to audition for advanced, because it's in the advanced class that then people can do an industry showcase, and they take upper division classes that are really exceptional. So can you just let people know on what you are up to before you even came to LSU? And, what made you decide that you needed to get an MFA?
Oh, absolutely. I Oh, it's such a long story. It's been so many years now. It's like looking back, it's been such a long path, especially being an international student and then actor and then teacher. Just looking back at the whole journey, it took so long, and there's still yet so many steps that I plan to do. But originally, yes, I'm from Kazakhstan, Almaty, and I did some theater. I was in different TV shows when I was a teen. My parents were always, okay, what we can do with our kids that they are going to enjoy. And so I remember I was doing theater and we're traveling with different plays. And I was on this TV show when I was 12, which was, I had no experience, absolutely. And that's why I say when I grew up and I realized, oh, okay, I really would love to go into acting, but I have to do it for real. Because looking back at anything that happened before MFA, it was just trials and intuition and just leaning on whatever the books maybe I've read. But there was no technique, there was no base, there was no foundation. And I really wanted to, if I'm going to do it seriously, if this is my goal, just like in any, and this is what I say to all of my students as well, talent is wonderful and it's great if you have it, but dedication and hard work will put you further than if you just rely on the talent. And so I always knew that I needed strong technique and I wanted to do it all in, and I wanted to understand the details of the industry, because if you become a musician or a dancer or a painter, you can't just go and start playing Beethoven Moonlight Sonata, right? You have to put in the hours. And so I realized, okay, the best way to do it is to get a professional degree. And I always known that I wanted to go to United States. And that's how I got to LSU. And we still talk, our cohort, we still talk about you and everyone. And we're so blessed that you have been there the first year as we were there. Yeah. And obviously, we've built this wonderful professional relationship that now I'm working in your studio, and I love your students and I love your studio. It's so different. I just had a class yesterday, and every time after the end of the class, I get so hyped because it's so inspiring, and it's just people are so wonderful, talented, dedicated, curious about everything. And yeah, that's why I thought MFA program is something that could also give me foundation if I'm going to pursue it professionally. And I remember all of the things that you always said about the technique. And I remember, I have so many memories now that they jump. Yeah. I remember I did so much research on my own, and also coming from like post-Soviet country, like we had Stanislavski and Chekhov. But when I came to know Seven Pillars, I remember saying, wow, Sonya has all of the answers to any of the questions that I've ever had. It's like I had all of these points and tools and some things and practices, but it was never like consistent. It was never complete. I had so many questions, and I was like, every time I ask you a question and you're like, yeah, this is what we do. Or like, this is what you could do with this tool. And I'm like, this feeling of feeling so confident in your craft, it really reflects on everything that you do when you go when you go on stage, because you trust yourself and you have this confidence. And because you have it all, you can take more risks. Ironically, you can risk more, you can do more, you can so much more, you extend your abilities. So I think that was very important.
So that's the experience. So that brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is how have you been applying it personally? So just so people know, Victoria, what I love about the people who go through LSU is I get the most time with them, they get the most time with me. So I get to infiltrate their brain to the max. Yeah. Which is good, because I'm trying to that's not necessary for their acting, but that is necessary if I'm going to certify them in Seven Pillars acting. And the standard for that is high, because I want you to be able to take care of your students to the best of your abilities. So the more time I have with a potential teacher, a growing teacher, the better. And so one of the things I knew that was going to be successful in having Victoria going in teaching is that I knew she really knew it. I knew and she had been practicing it in her own craft. And that's why I'm so happy I have some recent grads from LSU who just joined the faculty.
We've met in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Good.
Otto and Adam.
Yes. Carolina, Adam, LaDonna's coming soon, and they are all so talented as actors, and then also really, really, really good teachers. And but again, what I was saying is that it evolves, and I invite my teachers to evolve the process in their own practice and share the results. Right. And let us know. So like twice a year, we have 7 Pillars Acting symposiums, which are meant to be, supplemental teacher information and education. Right. And I always try to give a slot because we have people who come in and continue to go, oh, and I've been adapting this exercise in this way. And I just go, yeah, because the ink is not dry. And that's the fun of it. That's why I find that although I love Stanislavski, I love Chekhov, I love Meisner, I love Adler, I love all the people whose shoulders we are resting on, right? But it struggles to evolve, as opposed to, I think, what we have so much more flexibility. And so one of the things I really want to hear from you is, how is it evolving in your own process? What are you finding yourself most gravitating towards in your toolkit when you're on set, and what has been helpful for you as an actor in Los Angeles?
First of all, Seven Pillars has been very revolutionary to me at all. Like overall, like everything. Every time I teach, it's just, the more you practice it, the better you get at it. Yeah. And as a teacher, the more I teach, I also learn every time, because it's infinite. It's not math. So it's like you can get different discoveries from yourself or your students every time. And so as a teacher, because I keep practicing it, obviously in class and outside of the class, first of all, it got so much faster. Like you get into understanding of like circumstances, meanings, and objective and actions. Like it just clicks immediately when you just look at the script. So that's what I wanted to encourage also my students. Like, you have to practice it. You just can't leave it on the paper. You can't just write it down and then forget it as if you've done it. So like it has to resonate with you, and you have to apply it when you are in the scene. So what really helped me, and I think I really love all of it, but circumstances is something that I've adjusted a little bit or evolved. So circumstances is obviously, it's something that is happening to you, right? It's something that you're reading. If the partner is like giving you water, you're like, oh, they're being sweet, they're being nice, they're giving me, they're taking care of me, right? So that's your process. You're processing something that your person does to you. What I found helpful for memorization and connecting more to the character is also looking, what is my character responding? And then from there, my circumstance becomes more specific and clear, so that I can guide myself towards the next line. Because if let's say, I can say they're deflecting me, but the next line is, you need support, right? I can say, oh, this person is terrified of being vulnerable with me. And then that will lead me into like, you need support, right? Rather than if like he's just deflecting me, as Victoria, I would normally be like, well, he doesn't want my attention, or like he doesn't, I would have said something different. And so what I realized is super, super helpful for me with circumstances. You don't just process what the person is saying to you, and then you also look how your character responds, and then you craft circumstance from that to make it super clear at what they're doing to you and how you're processing that doing to you. So that's kind of the... Mm-hmm.
And I think, and that also gives us the difference between contact and circumstance. Okay, right? Because contact, he's deflecting. And I was just working with some of the MFAs yesterday at LSU. And if your circumstances are too much too much like just mere contact, like what is emotionally and psychologically going on with the other person, if that's all it is, you're going to have a harder time getting a very specific
Yeah.
meaning, and then from the meaning, you get your objective, and from your objective, you get your action. And so you're right to say it's really about the sandwich
Yeah.
and circumstances, the
Yeah.
patty, that really good juicy burger, in the middle. Who cares about the bread, but you need both.
Exactly. I always give this metaphor as well as it's a hamburger. Like, what is the most important part?
Yeah.
The Impossible Burger if you're a big vegan.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I think that's wonderful. And yeah, this is the thing I think that it's really hard to teach because you're starting to see this is that it only gets better. It's like you can see more the more you practice. So I bet you feel like, oh my God, I'm now understanding circumstances even better than I did before.
It's interesting how it evolves with time, the more you practice. So like I remember when I just graduated from LSU, I just started teaching. Obviously, I'm still applying everything, CMOA, circumstances, meaning, objective, and action. But I remember it used to take me time to sit down and really, because I'm always telling my students also, throw away something that comes the first thing to mind that is just on surface. You have to dig, like it has to resonate with you, like with meanings. I think in the book there's a quote, the quality of your meanings is the quality of your acting. So I always say it's not just the first thing. It could be the first thing, but also most of the time it's something that you really sit with it and you really think, oh, like you can come to a discovery that you haven't thought that could connect you to the character much more if you just think about it. And I remember when I just graduated, it took me so much time to really sit down to all of the sides for auditions or like the script that I've been preparing. And now, 4 years later, I can just look at the script and it is all happening in my brain. It's all just, okay, this is the objective, this is scene objective, this is line objective, this is the actions that I'm taking, this is the tactic that I want to take, this is the game changer. It's like you're scanning the script and it's all happening somewhere in your brain, but so fast.
Yes.
And sometimes it takes me I don't know if it's a 2-page script that I need to for audition. I just look at it one time, and it clicks, and then
boom, slam away.
Yes.
I love that. And that's but we teach them go slow at first because we know it speeds up. And actors can sometimes not appreciate how much work goes in the process because they think that their talent means that they can just do it. And that's just not at all correct. And it's only with practice does it start to be more facile, right? Victoria, an interesting question came in on the chat, and I wanted to put it to you because I think this is something that you might be able to address, and it goes into the other thing we wanted to talk about. So Niameka asked a question, do you guys know any organizations that can sponsor my education in America? I got accepted at AMDA, but I don't have funds. I'm from South Africa. So I want you to address that question, but maybe you can preface it because one of the things I think that is exceptional about you is being an international actor, having immigrated from Kazakhstan, right? You're very far from home. What has that been like becoming an actor in the States? What challenges have you had to overcome? And what advice do you give to your fellow international actors who want to be able to work just as much as anyone else?
That's a great question. First of all, congratulations. I would love to say that you've been accepted to AMDA, so congrats. Being an international actor student, it takes a lot of research. So if we're talking about funds, if the question is specifically about the funds, I would definitely reach out to, first of all, anyone who's in your country, any of the companies that are maybe theatrical companies that could sponsor you. It's always good to reach out to university itself because for international students, they usually have some funds, some sort of funding that they can maybe not a full scholarship. Maybe they have a waiver if you work for them. If maybe you can reach out to, so anyone who could be kind of supporting your creative journey, I would reach out to all of those companies. And also as an actor, we're so resilient to no's So don't ever take that personally. If someone says, no, we're not unable, it's just another way for you to go and try more. And then there's great saying, like, out of 20 no's, there's one yes. So just think, oh, I'm closer to my one more yes. As an international actor, it's not super easy. So you have to do your research. You have to know who, in terms of like maybe even friends and family. I had some friends who are actually married. One is the director and another is an actor. They're also from Kazakhstan, and what they did, they just borrowed some money from their friends or family or just someone who they knew, and once they moved here and graduated, they actually paid everything back, because to compare with income that we have back home and here in the United States, it's a huge difference. So it's kind of an investment. It's kind of you're taking a risk, you're taking a leap. So I would just do research with different theatrical or artistical or organizations that you would need to show, this is why I'm dedicated, or this is, once I'm graduating from there, I can come back and I can work for your company, and you'll have an international actor within your company back home. So this is kind of advice that I would give, but you have to do the research. And just being an international actor, student visa is obviously great. First of all, you get professional education, you get professional training in the United States, which is one of the strongest countries in terms of acting, and especially here in California or New York or maybe Atlanta. And then once you're going to graduate, you're going to be offered OPT, which is your choice for 1 year if you want to stay in the country and work legally in the field where you received your education. So it's a really good path if your long-term plan is, I really want to work in this country. I really want to be an actor here in Hollywood or anywhere else in the United States. And that's maybe you feel passionate about, I don't know, Miami or any kind of state, you just feel like I want to live there. So getting professional education, showing that you want to bring something into the country, obviously, it's a big step. And then once you graduate, you have this whole year of applying what you learned in teaching or performing. So you get a specific card that allows you to work for a whole year. And it's a beautiful freedom within that 1 year. You can work almost anywhere within the field that you received your education. So acting, voice acting, directing maybe. So anything related to acting. You can even do background work, which I still recommend at the very beginning, especially if you're in Hollywood. You want to see how all of these sets work, right? And I think there's...
Yeah, go ahead and take a look at it.
Yeah, so definitely, thank you so much. I tried the Department of Arts here with Noel. And, it seemed, I remember, I'll tell you just this one story. Before coming to LSU, I had this wonderful offer in UK. It was 2 years prior in 2017. And I was in the similar position. I didn't have funds to go there, and they didn't sponsor me. And at that time, I was so heartbroken. It seemed like it was the only path in the world. And now when I look back, I'm so glad it didn't happen. I'm so glad. I'm sure it would have been also a great path. But there's so many opportunities that are going to come. As long as you believe in yourself, as long as you feel that acting is your passion, just stay true to it. And if it's not right now, it may be tomorrow. It may be in a month. Because 2 years later, I moved to United States and I stayed in the country, and now I'm teaching here and I got my professional education. I'm regularly working on set. So like, who would have thought? At that time, I was so heartbroken. I thought that was the end of my life. And right now I'm saying kind of laughing, but at that time I wasn't laughing. I wasn't even talking to any of my friends. I was like, don't talk to me because I feel like a failure. That's how it felt. But I just want to say, if you know what you love, it will come to you. So even though the funds that you've asked or family, do your research with someone else. Find different organizations in the United States. There are millions of them. And just go into Google, go into search, go into funds, artistic grants, and stuff like that. And they will give you different links. And maybe you'll just not take one, but maybe you will have from one organization one and then another one, and they will make it together what you need to travel here. So, and then going back to like after OPT, I had to apply for my artistic visa, which you know about because you were the sponsor, and Actors Studio of Orange County has been, and you yourself have been very supporting in this journey. And here comes a lot of limitations with O1. Even though now,
O1 said O1.
yes, O1, so it's an artistic visa that is for people with extraordinary abilities in arts. So it could be graphic design, it could be writer, it could be director, it could be editor, it could be singer, it could be dancer, it could be actor in my case. And I thought once I'm going to get that visa for 3 years, going to open even more doors for me. And obviously, in some way, it did because I'm staying in the country and I'm able to work and teach and be on set and do all of these things. But there is a limitation to leveling up, how I call it. So right now, I do a lot of independent work. I do a lot of, I work with a lot of independent companies, commercials as well. But that's kind of the visa, what visa allows me to do. And in terms of leveling up, I mean, some of us, we do want to also, so the visa type name is O1, Rachel. And we do want to level up. So you have a question.
Oh, saying O1.
Mm.
And people are, this is so invaluable. I'm definitely going to save this live. And I just encourage anyone watching, if you have a colleague or a friend who also is coming to the United States and wants to act, this information is very helpful. Please go on, Victoria.
And so here's the path, right? Let's break it down. So first you come on a student visa to get your professional education, because with professional education, you'll get more opportunities just than anywhere else. If you get like master's degree, I don't know, in finances, obviously you would get a better position in that field. So treat acting the same way. It's a real profession. So really take it first with studying, getting your degree, knowing your craft, becoming a professional in this field. So that will be visa that is called F1. F like family, F1. Then once you graduate, you get the chance. That's all still within that one visa. You still have, you're applying for a different documentation, but you don't need to change your visa status. You get your OPT. That's where you work for a year within that same F1 student visa. And then you want to apply for an artistic visa, which is O1, which is an artistic visa where you can work and stay legally for 3 years, right? And that's the one that I have right now. And ultimately, obviously, once you see, it's really up to you, up to an actor. Do you want to go back home? You absolutely can do it anytime. But at the same time, O1 visa allows you to apply later to a green card if you feel like now here are your roots, now you're working consistently, now you have a permanent position as a teacher, as an artist, as a theater, being a core member of a theater company, right? So that will be kind of a good path. And then staying in the country and legally staying in the country and following all of the regulations that is very important to follow, because we don't want to break any rules. We don't want to get deported. We want to follow everything to prove that we deserve also to be in this country, that we are a good addition to this country, that we can benefit. This is kind of something that I might jump on later, like how are we unique here by being an international person? I think that's kind of the next question that we want to talk about. And so this is kind of the path. And so with going back to limitations with O1 visa, is that what I found with my agent, right? So one time I received a really good audition for a series regular on some show that we're not going to name right now. And for like series regular for like 4th season, it's like series regular. And she was a Russian astronaut or something like that. And I was so excited about it. And then my agent texted me and she's like, Victoria, you don't have a green card, do you? And I was like, no. They're like, let me ask. And obviously agents are so lovely. They're always like, let me see what I can do. Yeah. And so they went there and they started talking, and then they came back and they're like, Victoria, I'm so sorry. Like, we have to revoke it because they only want to review. They want to fall in love with someone who like, they need to do like extra paperwork or anything like that. And, I was so bummed. And so there are limitations, not because even it's impossible, it would be possible, but it's just, there's a mile that the company has to go through that they prefer not even look through audition or fall in love and then know like, oh my God, there's so many things. What if already someone has a green card and they are a good fit? So like, because everything moves so quickly. Like every audition can be booking like, I don't know, maybe for a co-star, it's like, okay, you're flying in 2 days to film something, which you did in New York. Remember, you had plans and then you're like, now it's Law and Order.
Yeah,
Now I have to change plans.
exactly.
Yeah. So that's kind of the tricky part with O1 and just being an international actor. That is kind of the drawback of it, that you have to be patient. But that's one of the things that have really taught me. You have to be patient. You should keep doing the work. You should keep um, loving the life every single day and not focusing, okay, in 3 years, I'm going to get my green card. In 3 years, I'm going to do this. No, you're living right now. Think of the things that you can do right now on every stage. If you're just planning to pursue acting, or if you're pursuing acting, if you're starting out, or if you already gathered some credits, it's really, there is something to do on every stage. So like right now I'm working and building a very strong reel. I have comedic reel, I have dramatic reel, I have Russian language reel, I have different skills reels. So it's really, and I didn't have it when I started it, but now because I'm focusing on all of these things, now I have all of these specific elements and clips that can highlight for a specific role that I need to be ready for in the future.
And all of these, I know that Actors Access has a program that allows you to almost include as many reels as you want, and if they're a minute, right, it's a certain price. So, and I think that's where the industry has been changing. It used to be, yeah, you can have like a comprehensive reel that's like 2-3 minutes. And now it's like, no, like be more specific. And then when you're submitting, where are you finding you're getting most of your opportunities? Is it through your agency, or is it a combination with that and self-submission? What's that process been for you?
I would say, especially with SAG right now, so I'll just definitely say that with the SAG on strike, which we are standing strong together, I'm mostly booking everything from self-submission. So this is like the last topic that I covered in my last reel on my page, is that once again, the advice that I received from you during our business class is that you're your own agency, you're your own company, and you have to, and I remember it clicked with me. You said you have to sit down for 5 minutes a day and just submit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Submit yourself for roles, because then I found out that all of their roles are released on a weekday basis. So like on Saturday, Sunday, they have a day off. So like, and you can have a day off, right? So it's like a job. Remember, like you're going from 9 to 5 from Monday to Friday. So it's the same thing. You have to apply. I'm gonna adjust a little bit. You have to apply every single day. So I sit down and there are so many roles. There are so many roles that you can apply to. And so I remember one of my friends gave this metaphor. Correct me with my English words if I'm going to say it wrong. So like if you're a fisherman and then you have a like fishing rod, right?
Yeah.
So like put as many things, like sometimes they go and then they sit and they wait, but they put at least like 5 of them so that if they get hoping to get one fish. So it's the same idea. The more you're putting your fishing rods, or the more you're self-submitting, the more there are chances that something is going to come back, and then ultimately you're going to book something. So it's like there is some, I don't know, it's also meditating, and it also, I don't know, there is like a sense of like achievement. While I'm self-submitting, I'm like, oh, I could potentially book this. Oh, I could potentially be a good fit for this. It's like self-fulfilling.
It is.
So really, you have to sit down and you have to like have this self-discipline and apply every single day. And that's what I do always. And so like my commercials, they come from casting networks, obviously. My theatrical mainly come from Actors Access and Backstage.
Yeah.
So everything, obviously I'm filtering everything to my liking. I think it depends on like where you are in your career. Like if you want to take on paid gigs, or if you want to just do something for the sake of being on set. So like now I'm filtering obviously based on if I like the script, if I think it's good for my reel, if that's the character that I haven't done, if like there is pay of some sort that I can use like to cover my bills. If there's some traveling, I recently did a short film, Revolver, that we traveled to 3 different locations. And it was beautiful. It's like you're getting paid and you're doing what you love and you are meeting wonderful people and like you're doing all, and this is your job. It's like
the
a dream.
best. I felt that way too all summer long doing New Swan Shakespeare Festival. I'm like, they're paying me to get to say Shakespeare
Yeah.
and get to be in my imagination all day. Don't tell them this. I might pay them to do this. You know?
Don't tell.
Of course, absolutely not. But at the same time, it's like that's the degree of pleasure that comes from working so hard. Eventually, and that's the thing, is that patience you were talking about. I mean, impatience is directly correlated with a need for control.
Yeah.
And acting is not an acting as an industry and a business, we have limitations on what we can control. And so practicing patience and finding an environment where you love your life and are willing to be patient, that's the key. If you can, my father always said, do the thing for which you have patience. If you have no patience, this is not the right career for you. And that's true about mathematics. That's true about being a doctor. That's true about being a professor, right? If you don't have patience for the life that this is going to require, maybe it isn't the right career. But what I've always admired about you, Victoria, and you kind of touched on this, just describing the process, is you have to be tenacious and you have to be scrappy. You have to look, and I think that came with like where to look for funds, who to ask for, not taking no for an answer. I see this. We did a workshop with a casting director at LSU, which was amazing. We had these two great casting directors who came. And I had a student, and we had said, "Oh, we're done seeing everyone," and his name had gotten forgotten. He just stood up and came on stage, because if he had been polite, he would have missed that opportunity. And he did a great job, and no one minded, right? But it was, to me, that gumption, that passion, that absolutely I'm going to stand up and do my work. Mm-hmm. That is the attitude you have to have. There was a question also, and I think we might have two different opinions, and I think it varies, Niameka, on background. I've heard, I have a relationship with background where I have found that it's good to do once, twice, a couple of times, but be very careful you don't get sucked into it, because some people get sucked into it and then they can never break out. Background work does not really qualify as experience on your resume, so it's not really a good resume builder. It's good experience builder. Now, in the Louisiana area, there are many people who do background and then get a line, because there's so few background actors here in Louisiana. And so the answer to your question varies on where you are. Like if a background film came to where you are, Niameka, do it, because there might be less actors like you, and then they might be like, oh, we need this moment, and then all of a sudden you're a featured background, and then all of a sudden you're getting a line, and then now you're actually getting viable experience. Do you have an opinion about this?
Oh, I have so much to say about that, to be honest. First of all, in Hollywood, it's like I have so many friends who are doing this as a full-time job. So like that could be your full-time job if you are like relating to acting and if you want to pay your bills and you don't want to do anything else. So yes, absolutely. And then I have some friends who are just like a background, but then they were moved into the main core. And those are like 10 people who are moved, and they work every single day with the leading characters within them. So like Al Pacino or someone else, like they work with them closely, but it's still background work. What I want to say with that, I so agree that you shouldn't be sucked into that, because it is so easy to like chill and relax, because it's, there's a lot of waiting, it's very exhausting. Yeah. I have two good takes on it. Number one, you should definitely do it at the very beginning to understand how the process works and understand like how long of a wait there is being on set. It's not just walk in and then you act and then the next scene and then they reset and then you go. There's a lot of waiting. 90% of the day you're going to wait, and then 10% of the time you may be doing something on set. But here's another thing. It's great. Cases are that you've moved to feature background and then they gave you a line. But here's the thing. You got to be prepared for that one line.
Mm-hmm.
If you have no idea what you're doing, you're not going to get that opportunity. You want to be ready for that opportunity. Because if you're not taking acting class, if you don't know anything about acting, but you are there that I'm going to go to the highest level through background, but you haven't invested in your craft, it's not going to happen.
Victoria, that's really good advice. That's absolutely really good. We are coming to the point where we might need to wrap up soon. And I really want to hear you talk about the value that international actors bring to the industry here in the States.
Yeah. Yes, that's a great question. And I think it would be great to finish on a good note.
Yeah.
I remember when I was moving from Louisiana to LA, and remember even when I moved to United States, I had a very thick Russian accent. So I remember Rocky, my dialect coach, he was like, Victoria, I understand 80% of what you're saying. But like by the time I graduated, he was like, now I can understand everything that you're saying. So it's work in progress. And I thought, being so self-aware of the fact that you are different, that you sound different, that people are always asking you, where are you from? Or like, oh, you have such a cute accent and you've been working on it for so long and it like kills you. And I remember you saying, Victoria, this is going to be your golden ticket. So a golden ticket is something that can make what makes you unique and will make you stand out in the crowd and be your golden ticket in the future, for your future. And I was like, no, I have to blend in. I have to, like, there are more roles for general American actors who speak general American. And like, I have to practice that. I have to nail it. Like, I was so self-aware and self-conscious all of the time when I was doing auditions. And what is interesting, of course you were right. Of course, all of the auditions and everything, like the last two projects, the wonderful projects that I booked, like My Voltaic Blood, there it is, and also Red April. So I needed to do a Slavic accent. And these are just the last two projects that I did in the last 2 months, right? And before that, a lot of my projects are based on what I'm able to do, once again, who I am, and because I can do it so naturally. And there are not so many trained actors who have professional degree that this country likes to have their own very strong professional acting degree, knowing what you're doing and experience, but also bringing something from overseas and being authentic in that. And so for everyone who's listening, anyone who's from a different country, whose language is not English is not the first language, or if you speak English, you have that accent or dialect, or it makes you unique, and you're going to stand out in the crowd, and that's what you should embrace, because you should be proud of that, because it's something that really so many great opportunities came from that, rather than being like everyone else.
I love that, like at LSU, the head of the MFA program, Nick Erickson, he has always prioritized bringing a student from outside of the United States. And consistently, each person, so it was you for your class, Carolina from Brazil, the last class, Shahab from Iran, this class, you all bring something unique to the room that I think other people from the United States don't have. I think there's like not an edge, but there's like a power and a passion, and it's hard to put the words to it, but you've come through so much to come here, and it means so much. And the richness of your culture that you come from shines through you. And no one can take that away from you. And it's absolutely beautiful. And I think you're right. It's a part of your essence where you come from. And it makes you unique. And you're right. That is, accent or not, it is a part of your golden ticket, because it's you, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
There was a really good question, but I don't think we're going to have the time for it. But I can certainly think about it. Well, maybe you can try. If you have a minute response to this, can you please take us through your warm-up? or what it looks like before your gigs?
So my warm up is like half an hour because it involves like warming up all the joints and the mouth and the tongue and everything. But really fast way, like if we're talking right now, I have just 1 second to tell you like, okay, what is the only thing like shake you off? And I think they do it a lot in improv. So you just count, you just shake your hand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then you count 10 with your hand, and then you're with your legs, and then you go from 1 to 9, 1 to 9, 1 to 9, 1 to 9, from 1 to 8, 1 to 8, and it goes super fast. And you want it or not, but you're going to be shaken off, and then you feel a little bit of energy running through your body. That will be the quickest warm up that I can say right now in 1 minute.
And mine is previous circumstances, right?
Oh,
And most important thing is immerse yourself in the 10 to 30 minutes before, right? And I often am stretching. I do a lot of deep stretches. And if I can put myself in the previous, then I know I'm always walking out on set or on stage in the right headspace and body space too, especially if I've shaken everything out.
I think it's such a great point that we kind of jumped on two different worlds, like the outside in approach and the inside out.
Yes.
And it's really important for people to know that like you can't just warm up like with your body, what I just said, because you also have to really get into the world of the character, just like Sonya said, with previous circumstances. Where is my character walking from into the scene, right? And it will give you emotional awakening, imaginative awakening, where to start the scene.
Yeah. Very good. Oh, Victoria, it's so nice to see you. And it's great to get a sense of how inspired and active and productive, and you seem very happy and you seem healthy. And that makes me so happy because that's what I want to see. And thank you for everything you're doing for the students at Actor Studio of Orange County. And I love hearing how you're using the craft and how you're evolving it in your own process. I just think it's just wonderful. And I really highly recommend those watching to save this one. And if you know anyone who's coming from abroad, this is a great video to watch because your information is extremely helpful and you communicated very well. So thank you so much, Victoria.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you once again for the Actor Studio of Orange County. Thank you once again for 7 Pillars Acting. It's such a great technique that really, as I said, like it answered so many questions that I had left, coming from like not just from nowhere, but so much time of research that I've spent, and then just filling those gaps and providing the structure and just developing this muscle of imagination and impulses and listening to yourself and staying active and present and grounded and fresh. And it's a beautiful, beautiful technique. So thank you so much for it. We truly appreciate it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, everyone, have a great weekend. Enjoy your Friday. And Victoria, I know we'll be in touch soon. So this is not goodbye. This is just ta-ta for now.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Bye-bye.